Okay, tonight, like Cassie said, we are going to be talking about our funnel and expanding our network. And some of this, obviously, for those of us who've been around a long time, we know a lot of these things, right? Or we have heard them before. But I want you to think, what is one thing? Like, is there just one thing that I can take away and implement from tonight? Because I always think that way, even when we were at leaders retreat. It's like, okay, I've been here a while. What new can I learn? What can I take away? Even if it was one thing, that is better than nothing. And sometimes we can hear trainings and we'll think, well, I know this, right? And my team does this to me all the time. He's like, I know. Like, yeah, you know a lot of things, but I have to ask myself that in my business too. Um, do I know and do it? Right? Because I know a lot of things that I don't implement on the daily basis that I should be and could be implementing. And so some of these things might be new, some of them might just be a great refresher. And so I'm actually going to be passing on, it's a training that I did with Bob Heilig. I don't know if any of you guys know and love him. I've followed him since I started this business. And a few weeks ago, he did a training and it was fantastic. He talked a lot about our funnel and filling that and prioritizing that, and how oftentimes we do other things before that as the foundation. And it's why our businesses stall out. And I can tell you that's why mine, when it's stalling out, is 100% that. I feel more comfortable creating content or hiding behind my keyboard. And so just being reminded of those things and even thinking, okay, where are my hot leads? Because I often will think, well, I'm out. I'm out of them. I don't have anywhere to go. And so when he broke it down into 4 categories, and I'm just going to share the notes with you guys that I took during that. And so all credit to Bob Heilig, just so you guys know. But also, as you know, we learn and really can implement things better when we go ahead and teach the things that we're learning. And so that is what I'm doing here. Um, but I just thought it was really good because he also talks about how, yes, we want to be expanding our network. And Cassie might want to do another training to like go more in depth about like taking new ground. But he really talked about thinking about the network and the funnel that we already have, and how oftentimes we just don't utilize that enough, and that we could be really like mining the diamonds in our presence. And oftentimes we leave so much on the field, right? Because we're not spending enough time with our current customers, or we just never go back to old customers. And thinking through some different ways to do that so that we can grow our referrals. We can gain those customers back. We can fill and plug the holes that we have in our business because, as you know, like one of the things I'm constantly trying to do, it feels like, is plug the hole in the boat. Like people come in and they just slip right out, and you're like, what is happening? And sometimes it has nothing to do with us and how we've cared for people. But sometimes there are things that we can do differently or we can learn, and we know more today than we did even last month, right? If we're continually reflecting and learning and growing, we can do some things differently now than we did before. And so we're going to look at some of those categories and just some ideas, and we'll spend some time actually doing a few of those things. And then I want to hear from you guys too, to hear if there are things that I missed. What are you doing that's growing your network, that's working currently? Um, so yeah, but first of all, I love too that Bob always starts, and our team does this too, right? We are starting with the heart of how we do what we do. Our heart is always for transformation and not just transaction. That we are faith focused, and even if it's not like a faith in God, right, which many of us have, but even just a faith and belief in our products, our company. And every time I go to a like a leaders retreat or an event or anything, my belief and my faith in what we do grows because it's so valuable. It is so great what we have to offer. And so always going back to that, because we can get discouraged and forget, right? And so going back, having that belief and that faith focus, living by our values, right? Our integrity, our character, going back to the things that we really value and putting people first and service first. And so that's always our foundation. That's always our heart behind what we do. And I hate the word prospecting even, like, I don't, there's just something that doesn't sit with me. And he uses the word leads, but when I think, okay, yes, coming back to people first, that is what matters, and helping more people, that's the heart behind it. And also because we've just March is usually a really big month, and there are some really great promotions, right? And so we can see sometimes people come in, or even for myself, like I love carrots. If you guys know me, you know that I love carrots. I love to run for things. I love to earn things. Um, and those can be really great things, but sometimes if we lose sight of like the long-term growth, then we can have artificial growth and it's not sustainable. And so we can have a really great month like we saw when back in November, maybe we had a lot of people join us for a free reset and then they never ordered again, right? And so keeping that focus on not just the carrot, not just the incentive that we have right now, although that is fantastic and we want to run for it, but we want to also do that. And when we're talking about leads, we want to do things in a sustainable way so that it's not just based on products or a promotion, but it's based on helping people solve problems. Like that is what we're doing. And we want that like real sustainable love-led growth that is fun, right? Because we know when that's not the growth that we get, it's not fun. Like it's not fun to me when I have a big drop off, when people join just for a promotion. And so I try to be pretty careful in how I'm even marketing that, right? So I just wanted to kind of start there. And then also, um, I don't know if you guys have been doing the Monday and the Thursday calls, but I have loved what they've shared in those calls about how so many people need what we have, and wellness products are not a luxury, but a necessity. And so even remembering that as we're talking about our leads and our customers and all of those things, um, that really it is a necessity that people have and need, and they are buying these things somewhere. And so we want it to be from us. Okay, so I am going to share my slides. And again, I just put in some of the slides from that training, and I will walk through those. Okay, where did it go? Okay, can you guys see that? Got my slides here. Okay, so he started out with like the triangle, and again, the leads is the foundation of what we do. And we lead with problem solving and outreach, and then content, and then follow up. And how oftentimes we want to start at the top and work down, because having conversations can feel tricky, or it can feel hard, or we can feel stuck in that way. At least I can. So talking about, we want to constantly be focusing on our leads. And he went way more in depth with this, but not so much on cold leads. Like those are rarely helpful, beneficial. We don't have trust with those people. We don't know them well enough to sell to them. So focusing on hot leads, and we're going to look at 4 categories for that. Again, we're leading with problems and not products. We're seeking to serve them and help them when we're reaching out to them, not to sell to them, but to serve them. And that we are having value with our content. We talk about that all the time. And we've already talked about that. You can go back and watch the other training on that. And focusing on giving and not what we can get. So that's kind of the foundation. And then thinking about our 3 types of leads, again, cold, we don't know them as well. This is going to be the lowest quality. It's going to take a lot more work. It takes a lot more skill if you're reaching out with a cold message, as opposed to someone who might be in your warm market. Maybe you know them a little bit. It won't take quite as much skill, but it's going to take more skill. And you don't know their need. And so we're going to focus on what is actually our hot market, where you might know their problem, they've interacted with you, you know how you can help them. They're even aware of you and what you do, and they're going to be more likely to buy from us. Okay, so here are the four that we're going to focus on tonight. These are the hot leads, and that's going to be our past customers, our current customers, our engaged leads, and Facebook group members. And I actually expanded that one a little bit. So I'm going to break these down each section. I have to move this over. Okay, so our past customers, which is great that we started here because Cassie just put a message in there that we can send to past customers and even how to break that down or to find them in our reports, which we will do in a little bit. But those who haven't purchased in the last 90 days, so anyone beyond that, and often I save my planners every year, and just randomly, I will get my planners out and I will go back through the whole year and think, oh gosh, that person was a customer 5 years ago. They may not be anywhere in my back office. That could be someone who will go under this list as well. So it could be 90 days, it could be 5 years. But they have trusted you once, and so have, Bob says, a 500% chance more likely to buy from you again because they trusted you that one time. And so it's so much easier to start with those people. And I know sometimes though, I'm like, we don't want to beat a dead horse. We don't want to drag people along. Like we don't want to do that either. However, it isn't bad to go back and reach out to those people because things change, seasons change, their goals change. They may be in a different place. They may have gotten a new job. Um, there are so many reasons to go back to people that we have worked with before just to see. And again, this is a way that we can kind of plug holes. So maybe there was something that we didn't do well and we didn't serve them well the first time around. And so this time we can know going forward, we can help them better this time around. The second one is our current customers. Um, and I don't think about this a lot in my business in cross-selling because of how we're paid. I'm like, oh, well, if they got 100 PV, I got my points. I don't worry about upselling them, right? Because I'm like, oh, we're good if I'm just looking at it that way. However, it does increase the pay point for the entire company when people buy more product, right? And that helps all of us. And so even thinking about that, but then he was like, think about all of the products that you have that your customers may not even know about. And I think that that is so true because I don't tell people about Joyome hardly ever, but I love Joyome and I use it every day and I have since it's come out. And he was like, they're spending hundreds of dollars other places. They would so much rather just have one order than multiple companies. And I think, oh yeah, that's so true. Plus they will earn more free products because of their perks rewards. And so even just going back to our customers and seeing if their kids need something, seeing if someone else in their family needs something, um, telling them about a product that they may, love along the way. So that too is how we can serve our customers. And I don't do that very often. So that was one thing for me. I was like, if I take away one thing, that could be one thing, right? But also asking for referrals and testimonies. I don't do this enough. I don't think, for people who are happy customers, and I have had some of the people with me 9 years, and I've only asked a couple times. They're happy, so it's kind of like, ooh, don't mess with anything that's working, right? And so you just don't go back. You occasionally check in, but ask them occasionally for a referral or a testimony. And he was like, not just what they're loving or they lost 6 pounds with their last reset, but even customer service things. Like people want to know the service that you're providing. So anything that it's like us asking for people for non-scale victories. Also ask them, how's the customer service been? So give them other ideas and you can use those in your stories. You can post about that. So people are seeing those things about us as well. Maybe even they love getting their free products. Like I don't ever ask anyone about that. That would be a great testimony to share about. And even going back I know I ask everyone if they want to share, right? When they join, and most people will tell you no. And every diamond that you watch from stage or a training, they will tell you, I said no for months, some of them years, right? We have people that we asked once and we're like, oh, well, they didn't want to do it. And so we never ask again, but things change. And so going back to those current customers, those are hot leads. They already know, like, and trust you. They're still here for a reason. And so going back occasionally and asking. And I know that, right? You guys probably know that, but do we do that? And so it's something that I need to like step up a notch, right? And inviting them to our community calls, those Monday night ones, those Thursday night ones, the book club that Crystal just led. You never know when someone might want to learn about, a book that we're reading. All of those things that bring them into our community, so that they can be a part of that is going to increase, our relationship with them. Okay. Okay, engaged leads. These are going to be anyone who has liked or commented a post and specifically about your products or your business. And you're going to send them an authentic message, right? So they've engaged in some way. And I know for me, those are often lower, right? Like it's usually my Plexus friends that like and comment on a product or a business post. But also I think to other posts that you have, if you have engaged with them in any way, you're commenting on things, you're in the DMs with people. A new follower or friend, I had one this week. She actually friend requested me. I didn't know her. We have mutual friends. And instead of just accepting the friend request, I then went in and I started a conversation with her. Um, Usually it's the other way around, but randomly you get friend requests. And so instead of just being passive about it, being proactive and starting a conversation. And I don't know, maybe she's trying to prospect me for something. We'll find out. But starting those conversations with people and being engaged with them. And I just love too that he was talking about an authentic outreach is direct. Like being direct with people, I think is really great. And then the last one. And he was specifically talking about your Facebook group members. So if you have a Facebook group, like I have a team page, right? And some of you might have a team page that you lead for your team. And I don't do this. You guys, I went and looked. There's almost 800 people in my Facebook group. And I can't tell you the last time I sent a message to someone in that group that I didn't know to engage them in a conversation. And of course, not all of those people are ordering, because if I had 750 people ordering, I'd be diamond, and I'm not. So clearly, I have a gold mine in there waiting to be worked with, right? And so, of course, maybe not all those people are going to come back, but I can go in there, I can engage with them, see if they are active. If they're not, why not? What would serve them better? Like go in there and see who's there. And I know Rachel Paxton is always telling me to do this. And so when he said it in the training, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I should go back into my own Facebook group and start engaging with those people. But it can be a Facebook group that you guys are really active in, because you already have common ground with these people. And so going and finding what that is and engaging with them there. And outside of social media, and I am seeing this more and more in my groups, you guys, I don't know if you are, but people are not wanting to be on social media. And I too am not wanting to be on social media very much right now. And so thinking, okay, so what am I going to do about that? And where am I going to meet people? So today I did a whole day at the Capitol here with Moms Demand Action, and I met a whole lot of people that I did not know before. And I spent like 4 hours with some of them. I'm in groups with them. I'm in meetings with them. I'm in a networking group here in Portland. So where are those groups that you can find in person if it's not on Facebook, right? Or in Instagram? I think more and more people want in-person contact. At least that's what I'm seeing. And so thinking even outside of that. But if you do have a Facebook group or if you do have a messenger chat, right? Some of you have that and you may have people in there, your team members have put people in there. Um, Even going in and engaging with those people in outside like personal DMs and not being afraid to do that with your team members that are not just your level ones because you just don't know how you might be able to serve them as well. Okay, I see the chat keeps like moving, but I can't see it. So if I'm missing something, um, okay.
Lots of people just saying like, yeah, I should do that. That's a great idea.
Yay, perfect. Okay. So we are going to spend 5 minutes. Obviously, this is not enough time, but especially if your back office looks like mine. Um, but just think through those four categories and write down as many names as you can in each of those categories. And I'm still learning this. I am an old dog who does not like to learn new tricks. So the back office, the new back office, um, the old one is now gone, right? And I'm going to have to get used to the new one. And so here is how to sort it. And actually, the sorting features in the new virtual office, you guys, is far superior, but I am still learning it. I'm just going to be really honest. Cassie was like, you should learn it. You should learn it. Now I have to learn it. But if you want to sort those people who haven't ordered for 3 or more months, this is how you do it right here, these little instructions. And Cassie had put that in the chat too. But just go through, I'm going to set a timer, 5 minutes, and just write down as many names in each of those categories as you can. Okay, so you guys can come back to that. I'm sure you have more work to do in there. I know I do. Okay, my cat's in my lap and he is so annoying right now. Okay, 5 more minutes. Um we're gonna send at least one message to a past customer. One of the things I found very interesting, and Bob has this whole system. I'm actually gonna share the document with you because I paid for it, and so I feel okay sharing it. But he swears by sending like a one-liner opening message to a past customer and letting them respond. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable doing that. And sometimes I'd rather send a message like Cassie had in the chat yesterday, telling them that they have the opportunity to re-enroll and what the special is. And, you know, do you want to tackle anything new with your health this year? Can I help serve you in that way? I know that wasn't exactly her message, but you can send something more. But he said, if you could just send this one message right here, um, you can say, hey, Janet, your name came up the other day and I wanted to check in and see how you're doing. How are you these days? And just leave, like, that's it. And then letting them respond to you. Um, because it makes them curious, it makes them want to respond. There aren't too many questions in that. And so you just wait. For me, I'm like, that's all? That's all you ask? Um, and I've only sent a few of these. And depending on the relationship, they'll respond right away. And sometimes they won't at all, right? That's just how sending messages works in general. But then when they do respond and you go back back and forth a few times, and then you can be direct and ask, I know improving your health was a priority for you when we worked together. How's that going? And he says, assume it was a priority. And then wait for them to respond again. Um, and then, was there a specific issue you wanted help with when you bought Triplex from me? Um, and then acknowledge whatever they say back and relate a story. And so you're basically just waiting for them to respond. So it's more of a back and forth and not just a one-sided conversation, because we really do want not just a one-sided conversation. And so this is an idea that you guys can try and see how it works. He swears by it. I honestly haven't put it into practice enough to think, yes, this is legit. It works. Although maybe, who was it? Jody Horston, you have done this and maybe you can speak to it because I think you did his stuff um as well. So if so, you can tell us that it really does work.
It has worked. I have had some really good responses. I've had some really good conversations. One other thing I wanted to go along when we were talking about making connections with past customers is I've heard testimony from his clients because I'm in his program. So I've heard testimonies from his clients saying that they just go back to the customer and say, I'm trying to make my business better. Um, I'm sorry, I let the ball drop. I'm just trying to, go move forward. And what can I do to help you? And I've had the testimony I remember specifically was she's had customers that she hadn't talked to in 4 years and they came back. And, so going back and doing the groundwork is really important, and being consistent and making those connections and waiting and listening.
Yeah. Yeah. He really reiterates like letting them respond. And then let's see, did I put it in here? Um, yes. We're gonna have more of it below here, but really getting them to respond first. So I'd like to spend even just a few minutes, maybe we'll just do 4, and just send one message to an old customer. And you can just use this one line um, and see how it goes. If you get to more than one, that's great. Timer's starting now. Okay. This is the last 5 minutes, so we'll do something, an activity, and then we'll move on to one other thing. Now send a message if you have someone who has commented or liked a product or a business post. And here are a couple options if you haven't done this already in the last few days. I so appreciate your support on my post. What in particular resonated with you? Or sending a message just saying, hey, is your health a priority for you this year? What goals are you hoping to achieve? And if you've had a conversation with them before and know their area of struggle, ask how they are. And if they are still struggling in that area, what are you doing now in this area? How has that been going? So there's a couple different suggestions. So let's go send at least one of those. Okay. Last thing I thought was helpful, that Bob does um, in that training I did, talking about having them share their goals. We talk about this, right? But really having them identify their own pain point, and not assuming that you know what it is. And maybe you know some of it, but really having them spell it out and asking them good questions so that they'll actually answer. What do you feel is missing that could help you achieve that goal? What do you think you need? Because I'm like, I know what you need. Let me help you. I'm going to tell you. But if maybe they know, or maybe they have some ideas, but it will help you to guide and serve them better if you're asking good questions along the way. And then transition to your products and really thanking them for sharing that information with you. And then asking, would you like some help? Right? Like, do you actually want to do something about this? Because some people don't, right? They don't really want to put in the work. And we even see it in scripture. Like Jesus says, what do you want? Or do you want to be well? Because not everyone wants to be well, you guys. And so we can't help people who do not want to be well. So I really think you have to ask, do you want some help? And then transitioning when they say yes to guiding them because we can help them if they will let us. So those are just some things about the conversations once you're in them. And again, you guys, it's so easy to get discouraged when things aren't growing or going the way we want or as fast as we would like. But thinking back to, okay, where are the leads that we do have and cultivating those relationships and continuing to lead with love and service and taking the steps to develop new relationships. And again, like I think Cassie does that well. So maybe she'll want to do a deeper dive into even like expanding more of that network. But remembering that often we do have really a gold mine in front of us that we just don't always spend enough time with. At least that's been true for me. And so I hope that some of that was helpful for you guys. But I would love to hear, like, maybe even put it in the chat. What is one thing maybe from this that you're like, okay, I want to implement that one thing, just one. Or if you have another idea or something that has been working for you, I would love to hear it. I would love for you to share the wealth, as I like to say. I'm going to stop this share so I can see you all because I cannot see you when I'm talking. Don't be shy.
I revamped my link. Well, it's not Linktree, it's Milkshake, whatever the link in my bio. Um, I revamped all of that today, and
So the voice of the yard
I'm definitely
is better than yours, Dana.
shut. I'm definitely going to implement that more in my stories, and different uh posts, and I'm just going to utilize it way more. So
Well,
hopefully that will bring me a different funnel.
yeah, that's good. Yes, Galen, the menopause post. I was going to ask Cassie about that too. I don't know what
Hang
she's
on
going
here.
to do. What are you
I have
doing for
weird
that?
lighting going on in here. Sorry. It's insane. And it just makes me laugh because there's just sometimes you never know what is going to hit home with your audience. Um, because I've been super discouraged lately with my content. Like no one's been engaging. I've had very little conversations going on. And right now, I mean, there was like, I don't know, probably 40 comments on there. And when I've filtered through it, there are 5 people that are brand new leads, that all want information and to get started. So
Well,
it's
one of my people saw it, who's
why,
mutual
yeah,
friends with us, and
yeah.
like messaged me and was like, "Hey, can you explain this thing that Cassie posted for me?" And I'm like, "Thanks, Cassie, for doing that legwork. Appreciate it."
And then Jody, you posted it, right? Jody Corson. No, or Galen, somebody.
I think Aileen did. I was going to,
Aileen.
'cause that's my people.
I'm telling you, I was absolutely shocked. But what it makes me realize is, I've always heard like your people tell you what they want to hear, like what they want to know more of. And I've always shied away from kind of the perimenopause type of thing because I'm 44 and I'm just at the start of it. And so I really didn't think that my network wanted to talk about that or hear from that. And so this has like opened my eyes to this as a conversation that my network is wanting to talk about. So you never know what's going to hit. And it actually kind of made me start thinking of like, are we talking about all kinds of things, right? Like I know I kind of focus on, I think my story is I post the same thing over and over and over. I never talk about skincare. I never talk about the kids line, all these different things. And I'm like, man, what we need to really, you never know what's going to be the post,
One
the
one of
conversation.
the things that Bob really, really talks about, and he's like, you need to know who your audience is. We have all these different products, but you need to know who your audience is. Who is your prime person that you're speaking to? And most of the time, it is you,
Yeah.
or it is you who you were before you became, a part of this program. You know what I'm saying? Before you were getting better with all the products, or it's you now, and that is super important. Once you hone that in, then your posts and your things that you're sharing should all be about that, about what you're where you're at right now. And it's been really helpful for me to figure out who my audience is. So that has been super helpful, and
Yeah.
learning the different things about being specific and not giving so much information, um, and just being single focused or single item focused at a time. That's been super helpful for me. So I don't know if that's helpful for you guys, but
I was gonna say too, because he touched on this, but and Cassie, you just kind of hit on it. Well, you don't want to speak to it because you're just in the beginning, right? Or you're in the beginning struggle. And you want to speak to something when you're like, oh, I've made my way through this. It worked for me. But people want to know the struggle because
Yeah.
that's where they're like, oh, I have that problem. And even if we're just one step ahead of people, we need to be posting that. We need to be posting our struggles. Just because we work with a health and wellness company does not mean we do not have struggles and we're not consistently like working through those. Um, and so I think that's really key, and it will surface more leads for us when we are being authentic and sharing, hey, this is what's going on now. Yeah, I know a little about this.
Sorry, the water's running in the background, but to like feed off of that, something that I've been learning, researching a lot about is like using hook lines in our conversations, in our social media posts, even to say like, okay, this is my issue. This is where I was. Hook them in and be like, this is how I solved the problem, or like solving that problem. And I think that's becoming more and more common to see, to get new eyes on posts, to have new conversations, new followers. But it's really that like draw, because I think like it's so oversaturated of like, just like you said, like somebody added me as a friend and immediately your mind went to, what are they going to sell me? Because we're kind of in the same business, right? So whenever we see a new follower, like, okay, like where is this going to go? So then leading into a friendship and establishing that, and then moving forward to see like, okay, where are their pain points? What are their needs? Like serving them. So
Yeah, that's good. Anything else you're finding that's working, or a place you're expanding your network and your leads?
You guys, everybody wants to help me remodel my house.
Oh my gosh, Erica, whenever you post stuff, I'm like, oh, this is going to open up so many new doors for her. And then
Totally.
schooling, I was
It
like,
is the
oh.
bomb diggity.
Mhm.
You guys,
I
tell
know
me
the
which flooring to
homeschooling
pick, even though I already picked it.
so funny. But I thought that too about homeschooling. I was like, ooh, Erica's about to open up a whole new
It'll
world.
be the new Amber Miller, you guys.
I love it.
No,
You
yeah,
need
no,
some
it's just
chickens
like
too.
what? Yes, I'm not gonna have a farm, but it is funny because it's like you've said this for years, Cassie. It's like people want to share their opinions. So like if you give them something to have an opinion about,
Yeah.
and so I could do all of that and not ask anybody any opinion at all. I already know what looks better.
Right. Right.
I am in my own actual house with my own eyeballs and I can see. Like I don't need that. But that is very fun and helpful and I think will be this new homeschooling journey and the house remodel and all of that. I just need to like capitalize on it because it's really easy to just do it and not use it as a marketing strategy to generate new leads. Because, like, I'm in the I Love Bend, Oregon Facebook
Mhm.
community and, like, who's the best flooring retailer? Those sorts of things. And so then, like, I could just ask that question and then take that information and go. But I'd be doing myself a disservice if I don't then like, okay, oh, you used Summers. Tell me more about your experience. Like, would you be willing to tell me a little bit more about this retailer? Why did you choose them? Who did you use as your installer? Blah, da, 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 da. Like, it's helpful to me for the actual flooring piece, but it's also helpful because it builds, it's like a whole new world
Mhm.
of leads of those quadrants, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind
Right.
of in that last quadrant there.
Yeah.
Um, but it also is bringing people out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
People that I had no clue. I thought these people were like dead to me, a bunch of them,
Right.
because they never engage in anything, but they want to tell me which flooring to choose.
Yeah.
You,
Yep. Yes. Okay, one last thought before we end. So I did appreciate, and I didn't even I should have looked back at my notes, but one of the things at Leaders Retreat is they were talking about the difference between like affiliate and network marketers. And I loved how they broke it up. And maybe Cassie, Crystal, you can fill in the gaps. But the thing that really stuck out to me, it is networking. It is growing our networks. And so even Erica, as you talk about like the whole home thing, right? That is a brand new network. And part of it is we're not just marketing, we're networking with these people. We're building these new relationships in these new networks. And you never know who you're going to meet in and through that new network. And then there's the marketing piece, right? There's the how we do our content, how we show up in social media. But when we put them together, like that's why it's so powerful. We're not just sharing a link. We're not just getting some $10 bonus for what we're doing, is we're actually networking and making a difference, having relationships with people and bringing our products along the way and the business, right? And so how great it is, the business model that we get to be a part of and thinking about that as we're thinking about all of our hot leads and what we do and how we do it. And one last thing, and this, you guys, in this season, I have not been doing this. He said, you should be having 3 conversations to every post. And I was like, oh, dang, Gina, I am not having 9 conversations to my 3 posts, right? That is not there's not my ratio. And so that was a really challenging thought to think, okay, I need to be in this many conversations. I cannot just be throwing posts up. I cannot just be doing the marketing piece because we don't know who's seeing that. We have to be doing the networking piece and they have to go together. It's like 2 pedals on a bike. So that is my last thought. I don't know if Cassie or Crystal have anything else with that, but that's what I will leave you with. I hope some of it was helpful tonight. You can walk away with something you can go implement this week, but I appreciate you all being here. I love getting to do this with you all, and we will see you at the next training. All right. Bye, guys.